So welcome back, everyone. We're live. So the next speaker will be Dr. Garda. So Dr. Garda is a well-known AMSA member, especially in AMSA Indonesia. Like everyone knows him well, and I also think that he is also an amazing person. Okay, Dr. Garda will tell us about the topic thriving to survive amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. So, Dr. Garda currently works as a general practitioner in Jakarta, Indonesia. Amidst the current pandemic, despite the chaotic situation, Garda longs for a remedy where he can be contributive outside medical services. He volunteered in a community service project aimed to assist street vendors from which their financial incomes get affected, struggle on how to survive their life. Dr. Garda would like to share the stories he has learned from them. So, Dr. Debbie, do you want to introduce more about Dr. Garda?
Koteada is a wonderful person, and I actually
Yes.
got to meet him in a more personal setting when we were invited in Indonesian a national meeting in Palembang, and we enjoyed a culinary tour together, eating empek and eating the Indonesian fish cake. It's very very amazing. So I got the chance to talk with him, and he's one person that I think that has the same heart with me, and then we all want to have a community where everyone have acceptance and love with each other, and then nurture doctors and regardless of where they're coming from, how old they are, what kind of training they receive, or whether they're still in the profession or not. So we need to have this kind of loving community, and I think he's one person that I'm looking at, someone who's going to be someone that will be very dear to us in the future. So, Dr. Gada, the stage is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Yudis and Dr. Debbie, for the heartfelt introduction. And I have a very good, safe, and healthy evening to everyone who has been tuning in to the Amidst session from AMSA International in collaborations with AMSA Alumni.
Okay, Dr. Garda, can you see the slides?
Sure.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Should I start right now?
Yes, you may start.
Okay. First thing first, am I audible?
Yes, you're clear and loud.
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. So, yes, as previously mentioned by Eunice and Marjorie, also the rest of the committee, on this special occasion, I would like to thank AMSA International, also in collaborations with AMSA Alumni Club. Thank you so much, Dr. Devi, for inviting me for this special moment, because it has been a very long time for me. The last time I was being involved in any AMSA International sessions. I believe that is something that we really need to look forward in order to, getting in touch with our current members and also the alumni all over the world, so that being involved in AMSA is not only just when you are in the medical school, but when you are graduated, we also are still connected as AMSA Big Family. And this is one of the very great opportunity for us to reunite amidst the current pandemic. So I believe, and I hope that everyone is in a good condition. Hope so. Okay. All right. So let's just continue. I would like to share about my volunteer experience amid the current pandemic situation. So outside my work positions, before that, this is my just a lifeline. From the very beginning, I was enrolled in AMSA International from the very beginning in AMSA Indonesia. So that's also my contacts. If you would like to connect with me from LinkedIn, Instagram, or whatsoever, you can just browse me there. And I believe that the committee will be very happy to help you with it. So I was started being active in AMSA International first from AMSA Indonesia back in 2012. So I was being privileged enough to chair AMSA Indonesia, being regional chairperson. And after that, I continued forward to AMSA International, first as the Secretary of Membership and Development. And lastly, I was entrusted to be the overall chairperson for AMSA International during tenure 2015 to 2016. And now, at the present day, I am currently working as the general practitioner in Indonesia, particularly in Jakarta greater area. So apart from doing my routine at the hospital, I was given the opportunity to participate in a community service project. It's exactly a volunteer experience from a charity organization called Kisah Kasih that I would like to explain for you later. That the aim was to help the street vendors, particularly the ones whose incomes get affected due to COVID-19 pandemic. So let us continue to the next slide, please. Yes. So here's the story behind Kisah Kasih. So I got the privilege to interview one of the co-founders of Kisah Kasih. She's my friend. She's Haifa. So Kisah Kasih is actually a charity organization formed on the belief that we must do what we can with what we have and for what we believe. During this unprecedented time, they in Kisah Kasih believe that we all are agents of compassion. And that is why we focus on supporting street vendors, particularly in Jakarta greater area, whose daily income have significantly declined due to social distancing policies that is set by the government. Then they also have little to no social safety net. For instance, having the savings or adequate insurance and whatnots. So also with the basic goods to comply with their daily needs, such as rice or cooking oils, also the face masks to protect themselves, and also the hand sanitizers. Next, please. Yeah, so why are they aiming to get these street vendors? So if we get look a little bit closer to the real community, of course, when we are still in the medical school, we get, maybe you are being quarantined in your home, or you are getting, having a school learning from learning distance, for instance. And for those who are working in the hospital, maybe we are having less to known time to get to know what happens actually outside. And this is a very good opportunity when we get to know what is happening at the other side of the world. Like when we are talking about community, so many elements that is affected by the pandemics, and one of which are street vendors. The aim is that we wanted to get in touch with them, particularly the ones who are vulnerable enough. Let's say they are over 60 years of age, or they didn't have any place to live. They live anywhere else they could find just in order to survive in a big city like Jakarta. Because most of the people that I found, they were actually coming from outside of Jakarta, but they came to Jakarta just for, getting an opportunity, bigger opportunity, in a hope that maybe their basic life will get sufficient. But the fact that life sometimes hits harder than what we expected. So yeah. Going on to the next slide. Yeah. So there are a little bit stories that we have interviewed, some of them along the journey. For those who are not from Indonesia, I will helpfully translate this for you. But for those of you who are from Indonesia, I believe you can understand the content that is written in Bahasa. So most of them confess that, for example, let's take a look at the first picture on the left. In fact, that most of the street vendors, we already had data that 55% of them are female with the average age of 46 years old. That makes them a vulnerable population in society that gets affected by the COVID-19. And on the second picture, we can see that they have gotten a decline in their incomes an average of 71.6% rather than in the usual days prior to pandemics. So usually when they wanted to have, let's say 100,000 rupiahs, what is it, $6 per day, rather than compared to what they can get, like for example, let's say $20 per day. that makes them very hard to survive their lodgings and anything else that they will need to require for their daily needs. And also, moving on to next slides. Yes, I also found that some of them are actually in a very old age, in a very elderly populations that in this age of 72, for instance, they are still struggling to sell what they can sell, to give what they can give, just in order to get survive throughout the pandemic. And most of them, particularly the ones who get affected, 95% of them lost their jobs. And maybe as we are familiarized with the recent technology, the sophisticated technology that might help us with doing everything by online system, but they don't have such opportunity to get one. So whenever they wanted to make it online or distribute it online, they just couldn't afford it. They don't have the facilities, they don't have the equipment that is required for them to sell what they need to sell. And moving on to next slide. And this is why the Kisah Kasih organization, a charity organization, would like to do in order to get this to them. So each of the street vendors that we found, we would give them one whole package of basic daily needs and also the protection for themselves. Like for example, we have rice, cooking oil, sugars, milk, face mask, foods, and also soaps. It's because the founders, the co-founders, as I told you, there were actually 5 co-founders of Kisah Kasih that they not knowing how to give back effectively during this pandemic, and it was so frustrating. So them, as initiators, they realized that we are in an environment that allows us access to large bulks of basic goods and tens of volunteers. So all of this stuff that we gave to street vendors are actually also donated from other organizations or personal interests. So along the way, they learned that street vendors were struggling to buy food for their families due to their declining incomes. And that is when they knew there's a supply and demand match. So they were motivated by the proliferations of different forms of social activities. So they decided to raise funds and gather volunteers to distribute goods to thousands of vendors. Moving on. Yes, so as the initiation, it's the initial project, they were started with Jakarta, which is the capital city of Indonesia, which comprises with 5 sub-districts. Each sub-district, we have 3 to 4 designation locations per day. And what about the schedule? Next slide. Yes, so the timeline for the Kisah Kasih organization was held in May and June. I was able to participate on the 14th of June after having my shift end at the hospital. So that was on Sunday. Yeah, they only had it on Saturday and Sunday to do the volunteer experience so that many people would be able to participate, not interfering any of their weekdays activities. Next, please. Yeah, so the team on D-Day, basically each, as I mentioned earlier, that each team and each sub-district had 3 to 4 designation locations for where we can find the street vendors. And each place or each location comprising with one team that is comprises of documenter, field interviewer, and also driver. All of them are volunteers that we gathered from social media or maybe our relatives, our friends, colleagues, anyone can participate. So the most significant experience so far in doing this charity is, next slide please. Yes, where we all can gather in one place before we are distributed to all locations that is already assigned to us to, yeah, just go to the streets and find someone that we can talk to, someone that we can learn from them, someone that we can understand, and maybe they need someone to listen to their stories on their struggling. So that this is our hope, to be able to facilitate them and the results of our interview, so that we can convey and deliver the messages to the local government, so that our own government can do at least many to so much impacts for them, so that all people who get affected by the COVID-19 will not be just diminished as they were seen as nothing. And next, please. Yeah, before we hit the event, we have this briefing. So we also applied this physical distancing and also the face mask protection to us. And moving on. Yeah, so every day of the event, the committee had prepared all of the goodie bags comprising with the basic daily needs that I have mentioned previously. So each team will have carried 11 goodie bags to be distributed to all locations that is assigned for the street vendors, where we can find them or locate them. And next one. Okay, this was the first out of the 11 street vendors that I could find along the journey. So what are the most significant experience so far when I was doing the charity? When I tried to interview this couple, they were actually been living in this particular location for nearly 30 years. And actually they didn't have a place to live. And they lived by renting a house, but that is not always a permanent renting house. They always move from one location into another, just because when they couldn't afford the rent fee, they just decided to move to another places that might be cheaper so that they could afford it. But the fact that when they tried to move to another location, of course, that is a hardship within the journey. So that when they would like to try open new business, it was so hard for them, particularly when the COVID-19 came. They would also get frustrated just because usually they could get afford like 20 to 25 US dollars per day, but now only less than $5 a day. And so next one. Yeah, and the second one, I got the privilege to interview this one small family. They were coming from Central Java province in Indonesia. They were, if I'm not mistaken, they were chicken noodles sellers in the West Jakarta area. And they had been there for 22 years. Imagine someone who had been living for 22 years doing the same routine, and then something interfered what they do on a daily basis. And imagine if that is something affecting our lives. So listening to street vendors' stories and sharing with them, also to the public through social media, for instance, have been the most rewarding experience for us thus far. So upon giving this vendors a bag of goods, our volunteers and myself interviewed them as well, which gave me insights on what they need most, so we can help them accordingly. So the interview was not just a regular interview. It's actually we gained data from them, what we can do from them. We also gain access to their, let's say, address or phone number, so that anytime that we can give any feedback or contribution to them, we can send them directly and we can contact them directly. So they will not be just interviewed for nothing. So it's actually, what are the impacts after the event, after the charity ends? Because I believe that it is not merely about doing something good throughout the pandemics or any other outbreaks, but what we can do every single day to make it sustain, to help other people, because that is one of the essence that we as health professionals would like to do for other people, so that anyone else would have or receive the benefit as we would like to deliver our good intentions from the very beginning with end goal in the medical world. And the most inspiring and touching aspect is that we listen to their daily struggles and victories too. Why victories? Because it might seem quite easy for them or for us to comprehend. But the fact that they were the ones who get struggled day by day, not knowing whether or not they will survive on the very next day or the latter day. So having get in touch with them or asking them personally gives us, not only me, but all the volunteers, an inspiration on, regardless of what we do in our work, what we can do or what can we do, and ask other people to help them, not only the street vendors, but all people get affected. And that is how what we do truly supports their needs as well. And next slide. And this is very interesting. When I got struck along the street, I didn't expect, it was a coincidence to meet him. So he was actually a distributor for water supply. He was carrying on all the carts from the supplier house to the several vendors that is in located one designated areas. And when I asked him, is it something that he really want? He said that that is not something that actually he wanted to do when he moved to Jakarta. So he was apparently coming from out of Java Islands, from Sulawesi. He moved back to Jakarta in early 2000s, and every single day he tried to live and tried to survive day by day from selling good needs or distributing anything that he could do. But the fact that he brought the families into Jakarta, so he's not only living for himself, but he has a family to be taken care of. And how do we get expect to this kind of situations can also be contributed to this whole family? Because we are not only talking about one single individuals, but what we can do in order to get them have an equal opportunity as well. Of course, it's a long way to go, but if we don't try to start it right now, then who else we're going to be with this thing? So the ultimate goal and hope for the charity itself is they remain focused on distributing goods to 2,500 street vendors. At the end of the day, they succeeded, and we all succeeded to reach 2,500 street vendors around Jakarta area. And we already collected what the interview data we have already obtained, and also other stories that we can learn from them. We also hope that all the volunteers will find value and meaning in understanding the lives of others as well. So, next slide. Yes, talking about all the charity events, what are the silver lining behind all of this? Because I believe that everything happens for a reason. When I get to know the opportunity of getting involved in these organizations or any charity event that we can contribute ourselves to, at the end of the day, we learn, or we try to learn, what are the silver linings behind all of this struggling that we may face along the road. Next one. Always remember that we all are in our position just because it's all for a reason. Why we are still able to sit, maybe in your most comfortable room or the most convenient place ever found for yourself, looking back on your phone, your laptops, personal computers, or whatnots, listening to other people sharing their stories, always remember that we are privileged because we are still given a life to live. Either we are holding a one particular job or opening to work. Always remember that we are still being here, having a life to live. What about the other people who get affected, for instance, who are struggling in the ICU with their ventilators on, or the ones surviving on the streets, not knowing where to go, what to do, or maybe they don't even have much time to live or to survive. being involved in any charity organizations or any charity events really open up our eyes. And this is something that we sometimes forget as medical professionals, that we often focus, that oftentimes we are being too focused on what we are doing at the hospital or anywhere we work, if we are not a full-time clinician. But if we try to spend a little time of our 24 hours per day, try to look back from our perspective, from out of the box that we are commonly used to see or to witness. It is something that we think our life has sufficient enough, or something that we wanted to do nothing just because we feel that, oh, I am safe. And this is something that I want to encourage any of you, including myself, that as long as we are given the privilege and opportunity to contribute more, not only to ourselves, but to the people surrounds us, or any beloved ones, be it in our family, our friends, our colleagues, I believe that is something that gives us a sense of happiness. And the key is that being happy and feel content with everything that we do in our lives is something that we really need to look forward. Because I believe that when we are talking about our happiness in life, it means that we are privileged enough to bring all the goods and spread the happiness itself to the people surround us. When we are able to give all things that we put into our life, for example, the people we love put into our life, maybe our parents or our surroundings. When we collect them and we spread them around with happiness. And particularly to me, when I participate in this event, when I feel like in my life, I have a lot of blessings that I cannot take account for myself, that a lot of blessings that I feel like maybe I don't deserve them. But another perspective that maybe those blessings are not for me, but those blessings are actually given to me because they're supposed to be spread around through me. So when I'm able to utilize all the blessings that I've had to be spread to other people, at the same time, we give them the equal happiness. And at the same time, we also feel that kind of happiness. And that's what makes us humans. And that's what makes us considerate enough to be able to live our life to the fullest. So I believe that is something that I would like to share to all of you. And I hope maybe one day in our own pathway, we can be contributive to anyone, anything that would like. So thank you for listening, and back to you, to the organizer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garda, for the insightful and inspiring presentation that you gave. So let's just continue with Q&A session. So we have one question from Edward from AMSA Philippines. So the question is, Doc, we actually have the same dilemma here in the Philippines. May I ask, how are your government leaders responding to this unemployment issue? Are the priorities of the country being addressed properly?
Okay. Okay, shall I answer right instantly?
Yes, you may answer.
Okay, thank you, Edward. Thank you so much, Edward Mortala from the Philippines. Hope you are safe in the Philippines or anyone else in the world watching the session. So actually, I might not be a great or the right person to answer this. But as far as I'm concerned, working in such situation where the hardship may come or the unemployment issue also, one of the things that might be just around the corner. I believe that the government has the priorities. Am I correct? Okay. Yeah, I believe that the government has their priorities in order to address their current needs at this particular moment. Like, for instance, I'm not sure. I don't mean that I want to discredit the government, but I'm not sure, as I said, that I might not be the right person to answer this, but I'm not sure whether or not the unemployment issue will be on top of the list where the government would like to prioritize at this kind of state. But I believe the Ministry of Manpower are working hard in order to make sure that those who get affected with the unemployment issue will be collected and will be addressed accordingly once the top priority of the local government or the national government has been addressed with such collaborations and contributions with other parties or other countries, for instance. And I believe that it takes time to whether or not those priorities are actually good enough, whether or not the government has addressed or has been trying to address the issue properly. But we shall be optimistic and be positive that everyone is working hard, be it behind the scenes, behind the tables, or the ones who get at the front line, that all of us are working for the sake of the community. If we can reach someone, maybe in the government, that maybe they can be transparent a little bit about our needs or our queries, that will be really helpful. That might answer to your question as well. Because myself also asked the same thing. But I believe that we can get it in a proper communication line. We all get it in proper reference so that we also can spread the news properly to other people in terms of need. So that will be my question, Edward. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Garda. So one more question on the question tab from Dr. Cheng. It is heartwarming talk. Please let us know how the AMSA Alumni Club family can help. I think it's a proposal to help from Dr. Cheng.
Yeah.
It's internal talk. Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but I believe that not only AMSA Alumni Club, but everyone here, regardless of our affiliation or regardless of we don't have anyone to back up our stories or back up our what we do, I believe that every single one of us can do one small act that benefits for the others. So I think that we can't just wait for the opportunities to come or wait for a bigger platform for us to contribute ourselves to. But I believe when we believe in ourselves that our small actions can do such benefits for the rest of the people, that is also a great thing to do as a human being. So don't forget that. Always spread the positivity. Like, for example, Dr. Devi always does this all the time. Spread the positivity and cheerfulness for all of us. So, yes.
We have a motto now, spread love faster than COVID.
Wow.
Wow. It was born by Dr. Santosh Upanyaya. He was the one who suggested this.
Grateful, great.
Yeah, isn't it wonderful? Yes. Thank you, Dr. Santosh. So we hashtag ourselves, okay? Spread love faster than COVID.
Great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If I may add, you will never know what kind of actually great empowerment and enlightenment that you can have just by speaking to maybe the janitor or maybe the person who opens up the gate in the hospital or the guy who's selling, like in Indonesia you can find street sellers. You sit down and you talk with them. There's so many things that you can gain, and these are the things that will make us more grateful. And being grateful is the key word of living a life that is worth living. So thank you so much, Dr. Garda.
Thank you so much, Dr. Garda, for the amazing
for this kind of opportunity.
Yeah. We also thank you for your time and for your amazing presentation. So if anyone wants to question more to Dr. Garda, you may contact him through the contacts that he just gave through his presentation. Is that okay, Dr. Garda?
That will be
Great.
fine.
And
Okay.
Dr. Garda, will you be joining us throughout the session? If yes, then they can actually direct message you via Amidst.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I would,
Okay.
yeah,
That'd
Great.
be-
I would just
Thank you so much, Dr. Garda.
yes.